Are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
Great. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. I know we're a couple minutes early, or do you want to wait until some other folks join us? Any choice on that, Naomi? Would you want to wait, or shall we just go?
Naomi, Darlene and I are going to take a couple minute break and we'll be back.
Okay. So let's take a couple minutes breaks, but anybody who wants to stay on and ask some questions before we start in 3 minutes, you can ask some questions.
I'll ask a question, Naomi. We've had a couple issues, and I want to know if you see a pattern with certain things between Club Runner and Rotary International about some weird things that consistently happen as far as Club Runner transferring to Rotary International or Rotary International back to the District Club Runner. Do you see a pattern with certain things?
No, what kind of problems are you seeing?
Well, I think there was just that time that we thought we had updated all our club executives and chairs, and it didn't go to Rotary International, it just went backwards the one time. And so I think you had to force it in for us or something. I can't remember what it was, but I was just wondering if there was something out there that you consistently saw issues with.
We also updated one of our club members in Rotary International, and it never made it into Club Runner. So I wasn't sure if that went one way or the other. Like it only goes from Club Runner to Rotary International, or does it go back?
It should go back. So you didn't put in Club Runner, was only on the Rotary International side?
Correct. Yeah, one of our members, my brain's not working, I'm sorry. We updated the status of one of our members in Rotary International, and that information never was transmitted to Club Runner.
Yep. We terminated her, and she was terminated in Rotary International, but not at Club Runner at the district level.
Okay. I'm not sure. So sometimes there's a box there that is report to Rotary International. So was that box checked?
Because we did it at the Rotary International level, there's not that box. When I went back in and terminated her in Club Runner, because I knew she was already terminated in Rotary International because I did it myself, I clicked the box to not communicate with Rotary International, but normally, no, I don't do that because I want it to update on both sides.
Okay. Yes, if you can do everything on the Club Runner side, it does upload. Coming back down from Rotary International, it should. I don't know if there's a timing difference. Was there? Was it done? Was it a timing difference? Where
it was months.
Yeah.
But I noticed that she was still in our district. But thank goodness that she wasn't in Rotary International, because we didn't get charged for her, because she terminated late last year. Like December, and I just noticed it a few weeks ago.
Okay, so good thing to do the synchronization every once in a while to make sure you're in sync.
And what's the synchronization?
When you go to on the top navigation bar, there's going to be
Of which site?
Of the Club Runner site.
Okay, Club Runner. Okay. Okay, so on the top navigation bar, there is a synchronize tab.
Actually, I think it says RI integration.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Integration. Okay. So every once in a while, what would you guys say? Like every 3 months or something, do that, or?
3 months would be good, but definitely before the Rotary International invoice gets generated. So try and do it in May and May and November.
Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Naomi.
Thank you. Okay, Dave.
Okay, well, let's get started. Aloha, good morning to each and every one of you. It's nice to see your shiny faces on this Saturday morning. And we're going to be doing the club treasure basics. Not a whole lot to it. It is pretty basic. If anyone has any questions during the presentation, please just go ahead and unmute yourself and blurt it out. So I'm Dave Hamill. I'm the treasurer of the Rotary Club of Waikiki. My fellow club members say it's a permanent for life position. We'll see. I've been doing it about 12, 13 years now. I also have the privilege and honor to be the district grants chair. So I watch and manage those district grants that each club is doing every year. Okay, so let's see here. Why is my screen not working? Sorry, let me get back to it. Okay, now it's working. So what are the basics of being a treasurer for a Rotary Club? Well, you're controlling the club funds, the money that's coming in and the money that's going out. That includes any of the lunches and of course, or meals, dues and fees if there are any. Well, there's definitely dues. We're going to talk more about that. Then it's also your role and responsibility to make financial reports to your board. You're an officer of the club. And then you're going to be responsible for submitting payments, including to foundation gifts and of course dues to both RI and district. So we, as treasurers, we have a fiduciary responsibility to safeguard the funds of the club and maintain records. So you're going to be getting bank statements and those should be looked at regularly every month. And also your finances for the district grants. That's also a responsibility of the treasurer. Then there are, the things that the government wants us to do, which is to report taxes annually and also pay your general excise tax at whatever interval the state has told you to do so. And finally, as mentioned, you're part of the board, you're an officer, and so you want to keep track and make sure that the club is in has a good financial picture and that is relayed to your board. So we do suggest and highly suggest that controls are in place so that you can manage these funds properly. On your club checking account, we suggest that there is at least one signature, not an automatic signature, and that preferably two people sign off on either the check or at least a distribution form requesting a check. Then, of course, you're going to be reviewing the bank statements before giving them to the treasurer. Well, actually, you are the treasurer, so you're going to be reviewing them before you give them, before you report to the board. Again, reconcile those bank statements monthly, annually when new officers come into the club, as the new president-elect, potentially treasurer and secretary get replaced with new people. The bank requires a signature card be updated. And then, of course, submit your tax forms in a timely fashion and keep good track of all your records. If you don't submit tax forms, then of course you're going to get hit with a penalty and interest. So the other thing a treasurer does is prepares a budget for the club, and ideally before July 1st, before the start of the new Rotary year. So right about this time of the year, you should be working with your incoming uh, uh, club president and maybe other members of the club and trying to understand what the needs, the goals, and what the budget is going to be, and put together a draft budget that can be approved in advance by the board, but certainly by July 1st, it needs to be officially approved by the new board. So if your club has annual gross receipts, that's everything, dues, meals, donations that run through the club, your district grants, any of those in total, if they're 50,000 or less, then you're only required to file a Form 99N. It's an electronic postcard. It's an easy form to fill out for your federal taxes. So that is due the 15th day of the 5th month, which ends up being, I believe, November 15th, pardon me, after the end of the Rotary fiscal year, which ends June 30th. So those filings are due by November 15th. And of course, do them earlier. And that filing, the tax filing, does also get sent to me, the grants chair, each year. And that will, that's part of the qualifications for each club to participate in the district grant program, which I know everybody wants to do. Also, general excise tax, that is also, I'd like to also see proof of your excise tax filings. And so we're going to get into the excise tax in just a bit. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here, and I know we're going to put it on the website. We're going to record this, and these slides will be available on the website. But if at any time you guys have questions after the presentation, feel free to email me. I'm happy to help. So, you know, as a disclaimer, if your club does have a tax consultant or advisor, somebody who prepares your taxes for you, you know, you can check with them for specifics. They're a consultant to you, and you should use them for this. But in general, proceeds from fundraisers are subject to the general excise tax. Even if the funds end up going to, say, charities that you're giving to charities, unless the club itself is a nonprofit entity, a 501c3, then those tickets to fundraising events are subject to state excise tax. Okay, you can actually request from the state of Hawaii a tax exemption, and that can be used to exempt yourself, the club, from lots of different things, specifically meal collections, for instance. You don't have to necessarily pay excise tax on costs for meals. So when a member pays for a meal, but remember, you do need to request and receive exemption of that in advance. Okay. And if you're including your meals in your annual dues, and if there's a cost higher than what it costs to actually pay for the meal, all those things can be claimed, can be exempted from the excise tax if you have that certificate in advance. Now, all clubs should be filing and paying their excise tax. And if you don't have an excise tax license, you can easily apply for one online at eHawaii Business, ehawaii.gov. Website is down there. Now, in the rotary.org, the RI website, you can find a sample budget. for you to use. It's in the treasurer's manual. I believe I'm not positive if it's in Excel. I use Excel for my budget. I just created my own. It's a little bit, it's got a lot more categories than this, but this is a very basic budget, and certainly it's easy enough to take this and make it fit for your club needs. And a budget is basically what are the income and what are the expenses. And an annual budget should be done that closely balances to zero. May never come out to zero. As I tell my fellow club members, and especially those on the board, a budget is a goal. It's what you think is going to happen. It's not necessarily what is going to happen. So it will change every year or every month. Some of the things you should think about and include in your annual budget is, of course, the Rotary International invoice, which annually comes out to $86.61. The district dues. Oh, and by the way, that $86.61, that's an estimate right now. We don't know for sure if there's going to be any changes to the insurance costs. We'll know before the start of the Rotary year, but right now that's as close an estimate as I can come to what the RI invoice will be annually for each member. District dues are expected to be $60. That's $30 per 6-month period, so $60 annually. The Hawaii Rotary Youth Foundation, each club is asked to contribute at least $200, but a minimum of $200. And then that allows the club to participate in that scholarship program where each club can award up to $5,000 scholarship for a graduating high school student going to college. So it's, I really encourage every club to participate at the minimum level of 200. And if you can do more, if you can have your individual members contribute more, or the club has enough funds to contribute more, I know that HRYF is looking for more funds.
Dave, this is Sharon. Can I make a clarification?
Sure.
The $200 for HRYF is required, and that's considered the dues. But HRYF also requires that each club donate a minimum of $40 per member to HRYF to qualify for the $5,000 scholarship. So it's two different amounts here. 200, like for example, our club pays the $200 club dues, HRYF dues. But as far as the $40 per capita, actually, $40 per capita, that it comes from the members. For our club anyway, okay?
Thank you, Sharon, for that clarification. I did not know that. I did not know that each club member had to contribute $40 on average to be able to participate. That could be a new thing, I suppose.
It is new. It will start 21-22.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Okay. So then you'll take, and it does not necessarily need to be budgeted into your club budget. If you can afford it, if you have a fundraiser or some other means that you'd like to pay that $40 per person amount, I think that would be great. Otherwise, you're going to be needing to get your club members to contribute that amount to participate.
Dave, one more thing. This also includes the program that comes about in September, and that's the Give Aloha program through Foodland. So when you participate in that program, whatever is the monies that is contributed to Foodland under your club, of course, there's some administration because the HRYF representative should keep track of the donations made through Give Aloha. That also counts towards the donations for the club. So,
great.
the per capita doesn't have to necessarily be everything from the member, but it could be also the Give Aloha program.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you, Sharon. Really appreciate that. Sully Sullivan, who was a member actually of the Waikiki Club, established this HRYF, which is a foundation with a pretty large corpus, I believe. I don't know the exact amounts, but to give scholarships to local high school students. And then, of course, the Foodland program, which the Sullivan family owns Foodland. That's a great way of giving to local charities just when you're cashing out at the register, and include and decide what charity you'd like to give. So we certainly encourage giving, and I guess giving to the HRYF in that particular program. Thank you again, Sharon. I really appreciate that update. And I'll update the slides to reflect that when it goes on the web. So some of the other things to think about for your budget, well, luckily this year district assemblies are going to be virtual, so there's no cost there for that. Virtual meaning a Zoom, just like this. Pre-pets will be on Oahu. If your neighbor island, of course, there is a cost to the airfare. I believe the actual amount for registration for pre-pets would be $50.
Dave,
Yep.
Pre-pets is going to be in 2022. It's going to be virtual, so there's no charge.
Okay, we'll scratch that. You just save $50 on your budget.
Plus airfare.
Plus airfare for those in Kona and elsewhere that I see on the screen. Great. Okay, and then pets is going to be right now. It's planned in Los Angeles, and so there would be this is for your incoming president. So this is president-elect training, and so they go to Los Angeles. Used to be San Jose, and so the club generally picks up the airfare, the registration fee, if any extra nights are required, and usually there is at least one extra night required because of trying to get there first thing in the morning is impossible unless you want to take a red eye. And so that comes out to, about $1,500, $1,300 to $1,500. Usually my club budget's $1,500 for that. Just about covers it, everything. Then the incoming district governor has a hospitality room, and that's always a lot of fun. And each club is asked to pick up $100 towards the cost of the refreshments and decorations and so on that are going to happen in that hospitality room, which, as many of you know, is one of the highlights of pets. District workshops like this one are going to be virtual for the foreseeable future, so no cost there. RILA, RILA is kind of up in the air also. I know it was virtual this year. I'm not sure what it's going to be in 2021, 22. And then the district conference, I think that just came out on the website to have the registration. Naomi, I don't know if you know those costs yet. I haven't looked at the website and figured that one out.
It's $40 for registration for this year.
Okay, thank you. So plan on 40 in the budget for the registration. And if your club pays for either the current president or your incoming president to attend, that's great. There are other fees if you're coming from a neighbor island, obviously hotel and airfare.
Right, so it's $40 this year, but next year it's going to be a lot more. So Marianne, do you have an idea of how much that would be?
No, not yet. But Dave, can you go back to the previous slide? Because it's kind of confusing. You have budget items 2020, 2021, but actually you're talking about the budget for 2021, 22, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, that banner across the top, I missed that. I just lifted this treasure training from last year, so you caught me. got me, Marianne. Thanks for pointing that out. I will update that. Yeah, but yes, you're right. We're talking about Rotary year 2021, 22.
Yeah, so pre-pets would be 2022.
Uh,
That's Randy's pre-pets.
well, that's true because pre-pets have already happened for this year. So yes, you're right. We are talking about 22.
So is that going to be virtual, Randy? Your pre-pets in 2022?
Yes, that's currently the plan, Marianne, is that it's going to
Okay.
be virtual. Yep.
Okay. So that is no cost then. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it would be on Zoom again. Thanks, Randy
Yeah.
and Marianne, for updating that. I mean, I think in the current reality, everything could shift a little bit. We all, of course, want to get together, but we'll see what happens over the next few months. Thank you for pointing that out, and I'll update that before it goes on the web. So just a little breakdown of the Rotary International dues. Again, 8661 is what we're looking at. So the actual RI dues is $70. That did increase over this current Rotary year by about $2. COL, that's the Council on Legislation. It's mandatory. Everybody pitches in $1 to that. The insurance is expected to be $3.61. And then the Rotary magazine is $12. So right now, due on July 31st would be the first installment, $44.61. And then on January 31st, $41. Any new member you'd prorate. So if they come in midterm, then you would be prorating those dues and send that to RI and the district. Okay. And again, this assumes there are no increases in the insurance. Again, just broke down exactly what I talked about a second ago. District dues 60, same due dates, and that's $30 per 6 month period. And you just mail that to the PO box there. We do suggest that you get your club invoices out to your members a month in advance. And you know, there's the real reason you want to do this is, and it happens to my club every 6 months, somebody doesn't pay their dues in time. You have to pay it to RI and the district. And then about a month later, you're trying to chase them for the dues and they go, oh, I'm not going to be a member anymore. I moved to the mainland or whatever. And you're stuck. There's no way to get reimbursed for that. So it is really important to try to get all members to pay before the start of the Rotary year or before January 1st. These dues are based on head counts that Rotary International has. And so it's super important to work with your membership chair, your club president, and your secretary to go through that list, your membership list, again, before the end of those 2 6-month periods. Otherwise, you're stuck. The invoice will be emailed to you, the treasurer, club president, and the secretary. And you can double check to make sure all those email addresses are updated in the club administration section at myrotary.org. And you can pay your dues with a credit card if you'd like. Okay, again, $2 increase in this upcoming period. Pays for all sorts. This $70 pays for a lot of stuff. It's everything that Rotary International basically does. Their human resources, their legal and auditing departments, their finance, all their governance, all of these things you see here are paid for with that dues. Dollar again goes to the Council on Legislation, and then the insurance and the Rotary magazine. Now, if you go to the district website, there's and I'm sure you folks have, it's really been upgraded and updated. It gets an update every year for sure, but it's regularly updated with events, all kinds of stuff, all the training that's going on now. It really is a place that you can find out a lot about what's happening in the district. So check that out. There's also a really cool section now, Rotary Doing Business, and the yellow pages still exist there too, but the Rotary Doing Business tab is very cool. It's a way to plug your company or your organization, and I believe Janet Sheffer is still managing that. So, and it doesn't cost you anything. So take advantage of it. It breaks everything down into categories, all the businesses and organizations into categories. It's a way to market to fellow Rotarians in the district. So this is what the dues invoice looks like approximately, and very simple to do. This is for the district dues invoice. And you just plug in the active members as of the 1st of July, 2021, and it will tabulate the total amount of dues owed for that period of time. I believe we're just accepting checks still. I don't think there's a way of paying with a credit card. Correct me if I'm wrong, Naomi, but right now I believe it's just check. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the grants. Again, I'm the district grant chair, so for those of you who went to the training a couple of weeks ago, thank you very much. We do have requirements for this, the district grants. It's something that Rotary International mandates a high level of security and transparency and frankly paperwork involved. So each year the district actually has to apply to Rotary International. It's kind of like filling out a master grant. And so each of the clubs submit their grant or multiple grants application. And then I take that and I input it into the master grant with all the dollar figures and the amounts that we got allocated to the district and the club, and forward that to RI. So they have a high level of scrutiny. This was the first time I had done it, and it took me 2 or 3 times of tweaking to make it adequate for them to accept. Couple key rules here: just don't start spending the funds until the grant application is approved. And actually, you're really not supposed to spend the funds until you have the district grant check deposited into your grant account. We do require that there are separate banking accounts, checking accounts for both your regular club activities and the district grant activities. And again, two signatures are required for the district grants, either on the check itself or on the disbursement form. And then, a lot of times we're reimbursing, so we absolutely want to see proof of payment and paid receipts before those funds are distributed. All of those should be forwarded to your club treasurer. Many clubs also have a grant administrator or a grant chair. They can also receive these receipts and expenditures for the grants. Then you want to look at that. You want to see, do they match up? Does the invoice or the receipt match the amount that was dispersed? And then you're going to keep those things in physical form and electronic form for 5 years. And so when the final report gets sent to me, that would be in electronic form. So please keep that in a file on somebody's desktop. Then also, you should be reconciling just like your club checking account, but you want to be reconciling your district grant account on a monthly basis and reporting it to the club president and to the officers, your board. Okay, About 10%, 10 or 15%, I believe, of the clubs in the district will be audited. It's a random thing. And if you've done everything properly, if you've got all the receipts and you also need to keep the bank statements to support those disbursements. So if you've got all that paperwork, it's a very simple process. It's not difficult at all. But these are the things that you have to keep because Ron Young, I believe, does the audits. And so he's going to want to see this. His team is going to reach out to clubs and ask for these records in order to do an audit. They do not look at club finances. So your regular checking account is not going to be audited by this district committee. So you don't have to worry about that. But of course, you want to maintain good records and proper bookkeeping for those accounts as well.
Hey, Dave.
Lots and lots of information on the RI website. That club administration tab is one that each treasurer should get to know quite well. Your invoice, your RI invoice will be on there. So to sign into My Rotary, you have to know your email address that you used and your password. So it's not the same email and password necessarily that you get into the member section on the district website. So please make sure you keep that in a safe spot. And it's not too difficult to have it reset, but it is a little bit of a process. I have recently had to do that myself.
Hey, Dave, Paul has a question.
Yes.
Hey, Dave. Not so much a question as just a bit of advice. We were audited last year, and the hardest thing for us was the bank signature cards because the bank will not release them. And so when you change your signatures, keep a copy of your minutes that show who the people are, and also take a copy of the bank signature card because you won't be able to get them from the bank.
Thanks, Paul. I really appreciate that comment. I did not know it would be that difficult, but that's great advice, just to make a copy of it after all the signatures are done and keep it in the club records. Or I believe Ron would absolutely accept a copy of the minutes showing who the new signatories are on your bank accounts. Thank you for that. So again, on the RI website, you'd go to club administration, and that's where your dues invoice or any of your, it has your membership, your roster in there as well, and all kinds of interesting reports that you can look at for your club records. Pretty easy to get to and do. This is where you would see the invoice for your dues. And if you're responsible for sending in club members' donations to the Rotary Foundation, this is also there are forms on the RI website that you can use to do that. A form should be filled out for every gift that goes to RI. If it's being done with a check, then please include that that form that needs to be filled out. Does not need to be filled out necessarily by the member, but RI wants to know who it's coming from. If a check just shows up, they don't really have a way of figuring out what club gave that check. So please include that check. You can do multiple gifts from multiple members on one form. So it's real simple to do. Of course, I know most people are probably giving to the Rotary Foundation through automatic deductions in their checking account. Now that is very simple to set up on the RI website. So that's how I'm doing it. It's really a lot easier, and it's tracked by RI, and the treasurer can go in and look at those reports quite easily. And, you know, if you have a member who would like to look into the planned giving, you know, donating stocks and bonds and property and anything like that, that's also, you can find out information about that on the RI website. Lots of resources there, like I was saying. So please get to know that portion of the website. You're gonna have just a wealth of resources for you to look at, from the treasurer stuff on to lots of other things as well. And that's it. Mahalo. Are there questions? Any questions out there? Treasurer. Paulette, was there a question?
Hi, this is Paulette Photo from Wailua. I have a question.
Okay.
So I don't have a password, so I go onto that website and then create my password there, right?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
So I need a password to get into the Rotary website, correct?
Well, not to get into the website itself, but into myrotary.org, you do need to have a username and a password.
Where do I get the username and password from?
Well, I think you actually can do that yourself. When you first sign in, you create your own username and password. I believe that you're going to need to have your membership number, though, to do this. And you'll find your membership number on the mailing label on the Rotary magazine. It's actually, I think, a 8-digit number that's printed on that label. So that would be the start.
Got it. Thank you.
Good luck. Get into my Rotary, because there's a lot of stuff. Mariko, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Dave. I just have one question about the district foundation 501c3, particularly about the tax, because I think your slide on tax was pretty informative, but I didn't get to see everything. So my question is that if a club wants to use the district foundation, well, first of all, does the district 501c3 foundation pay GET tax? Because I think normally you do have to pay the general excise tax, even if it is a 501c3. And then if so, if a club uses the foundation, does the foundation, that the district foundation send the invoice of GT to each club as we utilize it? And so that's my first question. The second question is the donors to the foundation, do they individually get the receipt from the foundation? So those are the two questions.
Okay, great questions, Mariko. It's a little, do we have time, Naomi, to do it? Questions? I know we're right at the end of the.
We have 5 minutes more. Okay. So Mariko, the club needs to do their own GET. The district does not. The district foundation doesn't do that, because what you're giving to the district foundation is the net. You're paying the GET on the gross.
Okay.
Okay, and then the receipts, the foundation will send a receipt if it's over $200, I think it was. There's an amount. So you can work it out. If you've got a lot of donors and you want to send the receipt yourself, work it out with the foundation people. But normally the foundation will send the receipt.
Okay.
Naomi and Mariko, it's 250 is the minimum donation for a receipt, and you have to, but you really should ask for it just to be on the safe side.
Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question? Yeah, you're right, Mariko. Nonprofits actually still do have to generally pay general excise tax.
Yeah.
However, the funds that are managed by the foundation, they do not have to pay excise tax on the charitable gifts they receive, and the distributions will only go to charitable organizations also. So that is exempt from excise tax.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
There was a question that popped up about whether RI would consider a lower magazine by going with an e-magazine. I think that's a great question. I don't think anybody here in this Zoom could answer that, but it is a great idea. Maybe those with power could bring that idea up. Was there any other questions anybody had?
I have a question. I don't know if anybody else, these clubs are going through this, but we're having situations where a donate button is being put on the club runner site, and maybe I'll have to go to a different training for this, but I wanted to know how that differs from a club and the foundation, or is it same one? I don't know if anybody can answer that today.
Well, I can take a little stab at it because my club has a donate button on our website as well. And that button is a donation to just the club. So we're changing that a little bit to where if somebody wants to make a donation to, say, the foundation through our website, that would be a different button. So when those funds come to the club treasurer, it's categorized. We know that that's a donation to RI Foundation as compared to just the club. So, but that would be at each club level would need to administer that.
So Jen, that depends on where the donate button is linked to. Okay, so on the district website, our donate button is linked to Rotary Foundation. So when you click on it, you're going to Rotary Foundation. So if your button is linked to foundation, it'll go straight to the Rotary Foundation. So just see where it's linked to. Okay. And then Joni is asking for a template for the monthly treasury report. So Joni, we can give you the template that Dave had. Rotary National also has a template, but if your club has a Excel template, then you can use that. So those treasury reports come in all different sizes and fashions. Okay, so Dave, do you want to try and post a template?
Sure. Yeah, I could. I don't know if I can do it right now, but when I revise the slides, Naomi, I'd be happy to put a basic Excel template into the slides, or as a separate attachment. So I can forward that to you. I appreciate everyone's time this morning. Thank you so much. And just one last thing, go to that Rotary website where you can click the button and donate to the foundation. Thank you so much and have a great rest of the day. Aloha.